All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and today I wasn't honestly planning on talking about this event, just because I think it's pretty obvious what I was going to say about it, as well as, what my opinion would be. But I have seen some, from a political and electoral standpoint, I have seen some really dumb takes about what this event means for the future of this nation. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about those, and I want to talk a little bit about the event itself. Or more specifically, how stupid it was. So, of course, the Capitol riot was incredibly short sighted. It basically ruined, I think, well, for a protest or an event like, a petition or any sort of thing to actually have a chance of working and sending the correct message. Number one, you need to remain peaceful. Number two, no stealing, no looting, no damaging, no rioting, no burning of anything. Otherwise, you're a disorderly mob and you can get thrown out. I will, begrudgingly give them credit. They had a problem with the government and they took it out on the government. And I've probably just lost my platform. But it was still not the right way to handle the situation. Three, generally speaking, it's nice to actually accomplish something in a protest. Meet with someone important to get them to at least understand your point of view, to at least listen to what you have to say. Doesn't matter if it works, but at least get something. What did they accomplish? Making themselves look like the people they were criticizing 6 months before. That's what they did. I guarantee you, these were the same people who were calling everybody who was rioting in the streets of every major city over the deaths, over some of the police brutality deaths this past year. And yet they go out and do something far more damaging, far more significant, and far more likely to get themselves shot, far more likely to get themselves thrown in prison forever, and far more likely to make themselves and any beliefs they support get thrown out as historical hogwash. This was the wrong way to go about sending a message that they disagreed with how the results of the 2020 election were being handled. They're idiots, and they deserve everything that they're going to get. That said, I'm choosing this image because I think it's the most innocent image from the whole thing. Just a man who's happily walking out. A Florida man, by the way. And it does not surprise me that it is a Florida man who is walking out with the speaker podium. Anyway. So, I want to talk about some of the dumb takes that I've heard regarding this. That Republicans and conservatives will leave the party and become Democrats. Yeah. I've actually heard that take argued seriously. Now, no. And to be fair, I've only heard it from Democrats, specifically progressives, hilariously, because and here's why I don't why that will, number one, just not happen, and I really can't take the opinion of anyone who thinks it will seriously. And it won't happen because why is a person who spent their entire life voting for lower taxes, lower spending, smaller government involvement in the economy, voted for more socially conservative policy positions, and voted for a broad view of the Second Amendment, all of a sudden vote for a narrow view of the Second Amendment? More taxes, more spending, big government, and all this social justice warrior bullshit. Why is a working class person who works in an auto factory in some, in Youngstown, all of a sudden going to start voting for Democrats who aren't Tim Ryan? It's just, what does that auto worker have in common with the people who are now the Democratic Party's base? The base of the Democratic Party is no longer the working class. And Democrats are going to argue, but yes, it is. It's our base. We believe in the working class. It's why we want, more welfare, more social safety net, more government programs. Yeah, have you ever met a working class person? And I don't mean somebody who's struggling to make ends meet. I mean somebody who works a working job, not a sitting or a thinking job, but a working job. I don't like to talk a lot about my personal life, but I work a blue-collar job during the day because it turns out my college degree is kind of useless. That's what I get for studying history, I guess. But blue-collar people aren't going to vote Democratic. They just aren't. And when I say working class, that to me that is a synonym for blue-collar. It is in manual labor, difficult work, the skilled trades such as plumbing, plumbers, electricians, HVAC technicians, mechanics, carpenters, that sort of thing. And unskilled labor, construction workers, people who work on the assembly line in auto factories, that sort of thing. Regardless of race or ethnicity, those people have more in common with each other than they do with a social worker who's earning maybe $30,000 a year and struggling to make ends meet and having trouble paying their student loan debt. That auto worker doesn't have student loan debt. That auto worker is actually probably making more than the social worker. Yet, that auto worker is probably not in as good a position. Because at least the social worker can get promotions, can get jobs in, better areas, and that auto worker is probably putting in 9-hour days. And the other thing is, that auto worker isn't going to care about the same things that social worker is going to care about. People who work blue-collar jobs really don't care about gender politics, identity politics of any sort. To them, they'll work with anyone as long as that person works hard, busts their ass, and is willing to stay late if needed, show up early. That is not something that I've found from the lower end of white collar labor. People who, according to leftists, would be working class. They are not working class. If you've ever worked a blue collar job or know someone who has, to lump us in with those who have white collar jobs but are poor because of the job they have, or don't make as much as other white collar jobs and therefore aren't middle or upper class. To lump us in with them is insulting because we view them as not just idiots, but children who don't know what the real world is. And we aren't going to vote for the same type of people as them. Because if they're dumb enough to spend $30,000 or $40,000 to get a degree that won't have them make enough to pay the loans on that, then why will we trust their decision on anything? Yeah, we may be working a hard and difficult job for not as much money as we maybe could earn. But at least we're not stupid. So, blue-collar workers are never going to vote for the same type of people that the new college-educated class wants them to vote for. And it's not about, oh, you're voting against your own economic interest. No, they actually kind of aren't. They really kind of aren't. Not even kind of at this point. Every time a new car gets manufactured, who makes money? The auto worker. Yeah, they may not make as much as the people high up in corporate, but each new car adds up. Every new house built adds up for the construction worker. The more houses a construction crew builds, the more money they make. So if they put up 1,000 houses in one neighborhood over a course of 6 months or a year, it's actually closer to about a year. That's a lot of money. Depending on the area, let's just say it's about, each house there is worth $250,000. 250,000 times 1,000. Talking 250 million. You don't think the construction crew is going to make money off of that? It all adds up. And to them, they're okay with people having an easier time building a house. They're okay with more people having an easier time building or buying a car and so for them, there's actually an incentive to vote for lower taxes on people who are maybe slightly better off than them. Because if those people have lower taxes, they can buy a better house. They can buy a better car. The working class is starting to get it. That trusting what others tell you to believe in and vote for is not going to get you anything. So, conservatives and fiscal conservatives aren't going to vote for Democrats just because of this. Blue-collar workers are not going to vote for Democrats just because of this. And let's not forget, the vast majority of blue-collar workers tend to be fairly socially conservative, at least by today's standards. And they're not going to become independents, and even if they change their party registration to independents, any of those groups, They're still going to vote for conservative candidates. It's not like all of a sudden they're going to say, oh, Republican bad, Democrat good. No. They're going to think, well, what policies do I agree with? This, and this. Oh, it looks like this candidate who's a Republican believes in this, and this. I'm going to vote for that person. Or, I like that candidate. I like how he talks. I like that he sounds like me. He sounds like someone like me. I'm going to vote for him. I like that this Republican doesn't tell me what I believe and what I need to believe, and that I'm bad for the color of my skin or for the type of work I do or for my beliefs. I'm going to vote for him. I may not agree with everything he has to say, but at least he's not insulting me and my kids and telling me I'm a racist, homophobic, sexist jerk. Now, Democrats are going to say, well, it doesn't matter. We've got this group and this group and this group. But let's not forget, working class people exist across all races, all ethnicities, all sexualities. At the end of the day, I don't think this is going to have any effect. And that is the dumbest take I've heard, is that all of a sudden Republicans are going to leave the Republican Party and start voting for Democrats. It's not going to happen. Sorry to the Democrats who are watching who think that's actually going to happen, but it really won't. Anyway, I'm going to end it here, and I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you made it through the end of this. A like, a comment, a subscription is really appreciated, and a subscription on Patreon would be greatly appreciated as well. Also, I'm going to be posting a link down in the comments to a Discord mock government that I'm helping to run, that I kind of created, because I think that'd be a pretty cool idea. So if you want to participate in that, go right on ahead, and let's have some fun. Everybody have a very nice evening, and I'm sorry I got a little bit heated with this one. Bye-bye.